Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण रति प्रिया माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम अलगु श्रील प्रभुपाद
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु अलगु श्रील प्रभुपाद.
So we'll do kirtan for about 10-15 minutes by the time everyone joins.
Sure.
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sadi Govinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय।
Jai.
श्रीला प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
Let me go to my room before we start. Give me 2 seconds. Thank you. Dandavat Pranamal Guru Shishila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining our regular satsang. It's been a while. So we have been personally missing so many classes. So hopefully I'll keep up from now onwards every week. And thank you. Special thanks to Ramshyam Prabhu for taking care of this, hosting, being host, and then moderating the session for many.
Prabhu. Thank you for engaging in the service, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, it's very nice. So Ajit Krishna Prabhu is already on the call. Ajit Krishna Prabhu. Okay, so maybe you would have stepped away, but yes. So so we'll continue from now onwards. We'll continue our wisdom series. So if anybody can, before Ajit Krishna Prabhu comes online, if anybody can recap, I know it's been a while, we may not remember, but probably Ramshyam Prabhu or Rati Priya Mataji or Shiva Prabhu, Shravanti Mataji, if anyone can recap. I personally, I'm not in touch. I have to get back soon. So Ramshyam Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I remembered last class I missed, but last class we had that, there Prabhuji told about chariot analogy. So where the chariots, the 5 horses are there, they are controlled by the rope. So what are those 5 horses? So like lust and so what all those are? So senses, mind, intelligence, these are controlled by the lust. If we do not surrender to the Krishna, if we do not do the devotional service, keeping Krishna in center. So that I remember, and then it was like Prabhuji told about like Rasagula as an object attract to mind. So he was giving one analogy. I have written that I was trying to read. So what was the Rasagula? So I think we will remember it back. I don't remember at this point of time. So yeah, so that, and then we had a session on the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It was his disappearance day. So we discussed about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And so yeah, so glorification we had about the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And that's all I have the note, Prabhuji, and I remember. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So anyone else wants to add? So which verse are we talking about, Prabhu? Ramshyam Prabhu? Yeah.
I don't remember the verse.
and I don't remember a font, but let me open that.
So which verse are we supposed to continue forward today?
If I remember, it was the senses and mind. 40, yeah, 40, 41, 42.
40.
Till 43 we went. We started from 40. So India,
Maybe I recommend that we continue from 40 onwards, recap again when Ajit Krishna Prabhu comes. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Algo Shri Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, no problem, Prabhupada. Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Algo Shri Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Nice to see you after a while, Prabhu. After many years.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We had a good trip to India.
Yes, Prabhu. Good and also very careful trip.
Careful.
So you had to be very extra careful. And right time I'm back actually. Otherwise, now they have put so many additional rules.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah. So while going, if you land in India, you have to home quarantine mandatorily for 7 days now.
Oh, regardless of your test.
Yeah. Regardless, if you travel to India, you have to mandatorily quarantine. So that is a latest change they made.
For how many days?
7 days.
Oh, wow.
So you have to home quarantine, and after that 7th day, you have to take RT-PCR test again to prove that you don't have COVID.
Oh, wow.
So,
and then when you arrive there, you have to do test?
I think so. That I'm not sure. So many changes are there, but I came like 10 days back, so I didn't have any of these conditions now that time.
Wow. Well, by Krishna's arrangement, you came back at a good time.
Yes.
That's good.
Things have worsened now.
All right. So should we start with the recap or?
Yeah, actually Ramsham Prabhu did a recap already.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
But I recommended, if you are okay, Prabhu, if you are okay, can we again restart from 3.40?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll start from 3.40 then.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so we can start the reading then.
Yeah. Any volunteers? Brinda, you want to do? Then Suhrud Prabhu. 3.4.
Prabhuji, which sloka again?
Brinda is doing 3.4. Then next one you can do. And next Suhrud Prabhu.
3.40 Prabhuji.
Yeah, 3.40.
Indriyani manobuddhir.
Indriyani manobuddhir.
Asyadhisthana muchyate.
Asyadhisthana muchyate.
Eter vimohayatyesha.
Eter vimohayatyesha.
Jnanam avritya dehinam.
Jnanam avritya dehinam.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting place of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Brinda.
Prabhuji, I'll go ahead now.
Yes, please.
Okay, Prabhuji. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi.
341 Mukund.
341.
Oh, 341. Okay. Tashmat tvam indriyanyedo.
Tasmatam indriyam.
Niyamya bharata sabha.
Bharata Shava.
Papamanam prajahihanam.
पापमनं
पापमनं
प्रजाहीनम्
प्रजाहीनं
अनभिज्ञानं नाशनम्
ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्.
नाशनम्.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in every beginning curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mukund Prabhu. Surat Prabhu is there?
I am there, Prabhuji.
Okay, Shiva Prabhu, please go.
Indriyani paranyahur
Indriyani
इन्द्रियाणि प्रण्याहुर्
indriyebhya param manah
इन्द्रियेभ्यः परं
Indriya
manasastu para buddhir
मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिर्
yo buddhi paratastu saha.
यो बुद्धे परतस्तु सः.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligent is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, anybody else? Pratipriya Mataji, you want to read? Tarun, you want to read? Okay. Ramshyam Prabhu?
Sorry, sorry,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Oh, you want to
I'm
read?
so sorry, Prabhu. My phone was just stuck.
Okay. Yeah. 3.43, you want to recite, Mataji?
Yeah. Just give me a minute, Prabhu.
Mm-hmm.
Three point?
4.3.
Okay. One minute, Prabhu. My internet is very slow.
I can share the screen if you want the sloka.
No, I got it, Prabhu.
Okay.
I got it. 3.43.
Mm-hmm.
Evam buddhe param buddhva
Evam buddhe param
परं बुद्ध्वा
samstabhyatmanam atmana
samstabhyatmanam
jahi shatrum mahabaho
जहि शत्रु महाबाहो
kamarupam durashadam.
कामरूपं
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, bro.
So, we'll recap from revisit 3.4 Prabhu. Anybody wants to do sloka or continue with Prabhu?
Yeah, I will do that, Prabhuji.
Yes.
3.40. Indriyani manobodhir
Indriyani manobuddhir
asyadhishtanam uchyate
asyadhishthanamuchyate
etar vimuhyati yasa
etar vimohayati yashya
jnanam abritya dehinam.
Jnanam avritya dehinam.
and the translation by His Divine Grace, Savai Charna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust cover the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, so unless if there's anybody else that would like to read.
I think we are good to.
Probably not. Okay. All right. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So text 40, yeah, actually very nice verses. Krishna says, Indrani Manobuddhi Asyadhishtanam Uchate Eter Vimohayati Esha Jnanam Avritya Dehinam. So, in this verse, basically, Krishna is describing where the enemy is sitting. The enemy of spiritual life is lust, which has been described in the previous verses. And in this verse, Krishna is explaining where the enemy is situated so that then accordingly we can go and capture the enemy or conquer the enemy because we know the location. And the location is basically the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. Krishna says these are the sitting places of this lust. But what does this lust do by residing in these three places? Senses, the mind, and the intelligence. Think about it this way. If something, some force is controlling your senses, it's controlling your mind, and it's controlling your intelligence. These are the three places where lust is residing. And so by when Krishna says lust resides in these three places, what is meant is that lust controls these three faculties that we possess. So lust controls our senses, it controls our mind, and it controls our intelligence. Now, what's the meaning of lust controls these three? If we translate it into practical terms, what it means is, first of all, what is lust? Lust is just the desire to enjoy material objects, regardless of whether they are being used in Krishna's service or not, or actually without using them in Krishna's service. If they are being used in Krishna's service, then it's bhakti. So lust is basically the desire to exploit material resources or to use material resources or enjoy material resources without regard to using them in Krishna's service. And the simplest example that we had discussed last time also was that in terms of lust controlling the senses, think about which is the sense that is the hardest to control. Jive phele visaya sabhu. Tongue is the hardest to control. Jive phele visaya sabhu. And because the tongue tastes and the tongue vibrates. So what we speak and what we eat and taste, these are the things that if we can control the most, our success in spiritual life will be that much easier. So when we say that lust controls our senses, the example that we want to use is tongue is the hardest to control. And so if lust controls our tongue, let me back up a little. When we say the tongue is the hardest to control from what?
Sense gratification.
Say that again, Prabhu.
Control from sense gratification.
Yeah, control from going astray. What we mean by control is that control our senses, control our tongue, meaning keep it on track. And which track? The track that is described by Shastra, that your senses should be used in this manner and not in that manner. So, but the problem is when lust is controlling our senses, then the senses are not acting according to the recommendation of Shastra. So the whole idea of control is in the context of whether we should be using the senses according to what Shastra says, or should we just let the senses behave in their own whimsical manner. That is the consideration. Option 1, should we use our senses according to what Shastra is saying? Option 2, no, don't worry about trying to use it according to Shastra, just follow the senses. Let the senses do what they want. So Krishna is saying that if you don't control them according to dictation of Shastra, then lust will control them. So senses are controlled either by our intelligence, and if intelligence doesn't control them, then lust will come and control them. So senses are not independent, they are being controlled. Question is, or choice is, whether we want them to be controlled by lust or whether we want them to be controlled by our intelligence. Now, so to understand what all this means in practical real life terms, is we were going to the example of the tongue being the hardest to control. The tongue likes to taste. And so if you talk to the regular people, what is your favorite food? You'll get a long list of things that people like. And if you ask a devotee who's trying to control the senses, favorite foods will be more in line, or will be in line with what the Shastra recommends. Offered Krishna Prasad. So it all boils down to, if we don't eat Krishna Prasad and that way control the tongue, then the tongue will eat whatever it finds desirable. And what will it find desirable? Whatever lust is dictating to it. And what is lust dictating to it? We know, if you just turn on the TV, you'll see 1001 ads for foods, so, and those ads are designed to attract us. Like, come eat this, come eat that, come eat that. Nowhere is it said, come eat Krishna Prasad. Those ads are not there yet. Those ads will not, make it to prime time because it'll be too expensive. So the idea becomes that the senses, mind and intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. In other words, if we don't regulate the tongue and the other senses, lust will dictate. And what is the downside with that? The downside with it is, if lust drives our senses, our actions will be driven by the desire for sense gratification. And 99.99% of the times, our actions will be sinful. And we'll incur sinful reaction, and we'll stay stuck in the cycle of birth and death. You perform one sinful action, you have to be around to suffer the reaction or enjoy the reaction, whatever. And so this way the cycle continues. So Krishna says, senses, that's one that needs to be controlled. Mind, the mind, lust is always giving ideas to the mind. Oh, plan like this. Okay, tomorrow I will go and eat, such and such nice, wonderful thing. Okay, so then the mind starts planning. Okay, tomorrow if we have to go for lunch to eat this and this, then let's leave at this time, get there at that time, etc. All this planning process is done by the mind. And what is driving the mind in that direction? It's our intelligence. The intelligence feels that, oh, it would be so nice if I went to such and such restaurant and ate such and such dishes tomorrow. It's Saturday, weekend, very nice. There's a nice deal also going on there. They have promotional prices because now after New Year's, Christmas and all, traffic is going down. So so the restaurants are offering deals. So all of this is being orchestrated by the intelligence. So between intelligence, mind, the senses are being driven to act in certain ways. And Krishna is saying that these are three things that are being controlled by lust. Now, what is the highest of all of these three? That actually comes in text 42. But anyway, we've already discussed that the intelligence is higher than the mind is higher than the senses. So in order to control the senses, the mind should be purified. In order to purify the mind, the intelligence should be purified. So here Krishna is saying, he's giving an introduction as to what is the harmful effect if we don't control our senses, mind, and intelligence, or if we let lust control our mind, intelligence, and senses. So what is the harmful effect? Anybody? The harmful effect. No, go ahead, Prabhu.
So basically, it is a curbing entity for our self-realization, lust. So
Yeah,
that's what it does. It'll seize our growth of our knowledge.
yes,
It's a
exactly.
destroyer of knowledge and self-realization path. So lust.
Exactly. Yeah. So Krishna says in this translation that through them lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders it. So it covers our real knowledge and bewilders us, meaning what is the real knowledge? The real knowledge is that I am actually a spirit soul. I am not this body. That's the real knowledge. But that knowledge we just cannot accept if lust is driving our senses. Lust says, what are you talking about soul? Can you see the soul? No. But can you see this gulab jamun sitting in front of you? Yes. Then why are you wasting time? Eat the gulab jamun. So then the devotee comes and says, no, but Shastra is saying that first you should offer the gulab jamun. So lust will say, offer gulab jamun? Where? So he says, no, in front of the picture, in front of the deity. They say, why are you doing all these superstitious things and all this? The picture is not going to eat. So this is the reasoning. If you discuss with a lay person, a non-devotee, they will give you all these arguments. Some say, there's only one life, enjoy your life. They don't even believe in transmigration of the soul from one body to the other. So this is called covering of the real knowledge. Real knowledge, the summary of real knowledge is, I am a soul, I am not this body. In other words, the body's tendency to, eat this gulab jamun, eat this, eat that, these are just the interactions between the senses and the objects of the senses. Soul has no purpose and has no role in these interactions. But if somebody is spiritually inclined, spiritually awakened, then the soul comes into the picture. Soul comes into the picture, and soul then dictates controls the intelligence, which controls the mind, which controls the senses. And the soul's intelligence is, I am a spiritual being. I am part and parcel of Krishna. I have to use this body. I have to use this body. I can't let the body do what it wants to do. I have to use this body in such a way that it is pleasing to Krishna. And then I'll be able to get rid of this cycle of birth and death, entering into one body, another body, third body, fourth body, who knows which body, you know. So that intelligence, that awakening, that realization, that consciousness, and that determination comes to the soul through association with like-minded devotees, by reading Shastra, by following the instructions. So that's why in the next verse, Krishna says, therefore, O Arjun, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of lust by regulating the senses and slay the destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So some very, very strong words are being used here. Haribol Narasimhan Prabhu, we are just going through text 40, 41, chapter 3.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna says, so in the very beginning, just curb this symbol of sin, that is lust. How? By regulating the senses. So we'll come back to that. By regulating this, he's saying how? By regulating the senses. And what will be the benefit of doing that? Well, then we'll be able to slay this enemy, this destroyer of knowledge and destroyer of self-realization. So knowledge and self-realization, they both mean basically the same thing, because knowledge means I am spirit soul. Realizing and understanding, look, I am actually a spirit soul. I have to be very careful what I do with this body. That is knowledge, that is Gyan. And self-realization means realizing that I am the spirit soul. So knowledge and self-realization, they basically mean the same thing. Problem is that our consciousness is obviously focused on what our senses are processing and what our senses are feeling. In other words, let's say if we step outside right now, the temperature is sub-zero, right? It is below freezing. Naturally, our body will feel cold and we'll say, okay, I need to put on, some warm clothing and all that kind of thing. Oh, and then you are outside for 10 minutes. If you try to do a little walk and do a japa, the senses will bother you. They'll say, oh, it's so cold, let me go inside. So the point being that because we are in this body, obviously we are conscious of the body, and so what the senses feel, we have to tolerate, respect, and experience that. So Shastra doesn't say that don't experience what the senses are saying. All it's saying is that just control it. Control it, meaning use the senses in the recommended way according to Shastra. So that's why Krishna says, curb this symbol of lust, sin, by regulating the senses. So here's the solution. He says, if you regulate your senses, meaning you tell the senses what to do, not that just follow what the senses are saying. You tell the senses what you want to do, and that way it'll be fine. But how do we do that? Let's see what text 43 or 42 says. 42 says the working senses are superior to dull matter. Or somebody else, please just read the translation for 42.
Narasimha Prabhu can read.
Yes, Prabhuji. What was the chapter, Prabhuji? Chapter
3. Chapter 3, text 42. Just the translation, please, if you can read.
Yes. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so here we have the hierarchy. Who's higher than who? So who is the highest?
Soul.
Soul. Under soul comes?
Intelligence.
Then? Mind. And then?
Senses.
Senses. So if we want to control the senses, we have the hierarchy, right? And where is the soul getting its direction from?
Super soul.
Super soul. Exactly. But if the soul doesn't listen to the super soul, then can the soul tell the intelligence to tell the mind and mind to tell the senses what to do?
No.
No. So the key is that the soul has to listen to the super soul. But how will it listen to the super soul?
When the soul will surrender, then only it can listen. Otherwise, it doesn't surrender, it will not listen.
So let's say right now I say, okay, I surrender. But I can't see the super soul. But I accept the Shastra and I surrender. Now what should I do? What's my next step? What should I do? Because I can't see the super soul.
See, one should have self-realization for that. Self-realization comes by knowledge. And to acquire knowledge, these are the sources, Sadhu and Shastra.
Yeah. So even though I can't see the super soul or hear him yet, but at least I can follow the instructions of the Shastra, right? Like you said, through the medium of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, they are the medium through which I can hear the super soul. Because what is the super soul saying? They've already given in black and white in writing in Shastra. Krishna is so kind. He says, there's this verse which says, I'm trying to remember. Sevanmukhi Jivadao Swam Eva Sprutiyata. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grayam. So Ata Shri Krishna Nam Adi. So Lord Krishna's name and form, etc. Na Bhaved Gayam in Indriye. That with these gross material senses, I cannot see them. But Sevanmukhi hi Jivadao Swam Eva Sprutiyata. If I engage my senses, starting with the tongue, Sevanmukhi hi Jivadao. Jiva is the tongue. And if I engage them in serving Krishna, Sevanmukhi hi Jivadao Swayam Eva Sprutiyata, then automatically the truth will be revealed to me by the mercy of the Lord. So if I engage my senses in the service of the Lord, that is the key. That big if I engage my senses. And I say, okay, how do I engage them? I engage them by following the instructions of the Shastra explained to us through Guru, Sadhu. So Shastra is there. Shastra is giving us all the instructions that the Super Soul wants to give us because we have these gross material senses. Garyam Indriye. I cannot see the Super Soul. Krishna says, no problem. I know you won't be able to see me when your senses are contaminated, but I'll give it to you in a medium that you can see. Here is the Shastra written. Vyasdev, Ganeshji, they've written. Here it is, black and white. At least you can read. And even if you read and you cannot understand, no problem. I'll send representatives, bona fide representatives, who can read and interpret and explain to you. At least you can listen to them. At least you can listen to them. So Krishna has made all these arrangements for us, and still the living entities say, who wants to listen to these people? Where's the TV? What is the program coming today? What entertainment is there? What nonsense entertainment so that my senses can feel happy? That is where the senses are. That is the example of the senses are pulling the person. The senses are pulling the person. For example, if we are sitting here and we are trying to discuss this, and downstairs there's a loud TV is playing and some mundane music is playing, and if we are so attracted, we say, oh, forget about all this, let me go down. See, your ear has attracted.
Yeah.
Either your eyes will see something or the ear will hear something, right? And through that, we get distracted, and that is lust controlling us. Oh, go listen to that. Some great movie is coming, or some great performer is on TV. Let's go listen to that. It'll be very nice, very enjoyable. That is lust. Enjoying or thinking that we can enjoy all these material things without which has nothing to do with Krishna's service. And Krishna says that will never make you happy. So the point was that in 42, that we have to regulate the senses and thereby slay the destroyer of knowledge. So in other words, this, what we just discussed, Atashi Krishna Namadi na bhaved ghayam indriye seven mukhe jivadav. So that is the solution. That is the solution to this problem which is presented in text 41. How to control or how to slay this destroyer of knowledge, how to slay lust. So now the question becomes, okay, if the solution is to regulate the senses, how do I regulate the senses? And for that, the answer is we follow the principles that are given in the Shastra, like chanting, eating Krishna Prasad, engaging in deity worship, reading the Shastra, and associating with devotees. These 5 things. These 5 practices help us regulate our senses. And it's very simple. If we eat Krishna Prasad, naturally the tongue is controlled. If the tongue is controlled, the rest of the senses are automatically controlled. Because the tongue is the hardest to control, but what you eat, there is this saying, Jaisa an vaisa man. What you eat, that will dictate how your mind is. So that's why Krishna says in so many different places. First of all, the Sharira Vidya Jal prayer that we say, the whole meaning of that is Sharira Vidya Jal. This body is a network of ignorance, avidya. And we are being controlled by the senses. Jodendriya Taika, Jive Phile Sai Sakure. Tongue is the hardest to control. Tara Madhya Jivati Lomo Sarmati. So Krishna's, but then it says, Krishna Paradoyamai Kori Pare Jiva Joy. So that, okay, fine, the tongue is the hardest to control and it likes to eat all kinds of nonsense things. But Krishna is very merciful. Krishna Paradoyamai Kori Pare Jiva Joy. He's given such nice prasad for us to engage our tongue in tasting. So let us do that and chant Krishna's name. Premedako Chaitanya Hidai, Jayamai Janidai, Jai Krishna Chaitanya. So the prayer kind of goes on like that, which highlights how wonderful it is and how easy it is to actually start regulating the senses by start with Krishna Prasad. Prabhupada used to say also that's why the Sunday feast is always free, is never charged. I mean, our ISKCON temples are the only place where you can go and eat free food. Otherwise, even if you go to most temples, when you go there, prasad they give you is like a small little handful of prasad. But if you want to eat a meal, you have to pay. But Prabhupada said, you give people free Krishna Prasad, they will come for the free Prasad, and that will start purifying the consciousness, because Krishna Prasad is so powerful. So Krishna is making it very clear in text 41 that by regulating the senses, we can control this enemy called lust. Because all this enemy is doing is it's destroying our knowledge and self-realization. Meaning it's making us not understand that we are the spirit soul. We are not body. We are spirit soul. What is the implication of being spirit, soul, and not being the body. The implication is, if we are spirit, soul, if we are not the body, then, but we are stuck in this body, and we have all these possessions, we have a car and house and this and that, then how are we supposed to, what, should we just leave all of this and say, oh, I'm spirit, soul, so I'll stop eating and I'll stop working? No, that's not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying, you realize that I am the proprietor of everything. I meaning Krishna. Krishna is the proprietor of everything. You and I are not proprietors of anything. I might say, this is my house, this is my car, etc., etc. No, it's not. It actually belongs to Krishna. Krishna has just given it to us. He's given to us temporarily to see how we use it. And if we use it in Krishna's service, then all of this is successful. Then our human birth is successful. And Prabhupada gives the analogy that it's like a cashier. You go to the bank, so the teller is sitting there. The teller is counting all of the money. Whatever, let's say you take $1 million and you want to deposit, is the teller will take it, he'll count it, and he'll keep it. Now, can the teller say that, oh, today I got deposits of 5 million. Now let me go and use it the way I want? What will happen? He'll go behind bars. That's the situation for us. We've been given this body, we've been given a car, house, money, this thing, that thing. And we're saying, oh, this is mine. Not realizing I'm just temporarily holding on to this like a cashier holds on to the bank, which actually belongs to somebody else. All he has to do is take that cash and put it in the right place, in the safe deposit box, write an account and say, okay, this much came, and his life will be happy. He will get his salary, he'll get his sustenance, and he'll be okay. Same way, we are given certain possessions which don't belong to us. And just like the cashier puts them in the safe deposit, that means he's used it in the right way. We have to use it in the right way, meaning first accept that it's not mine, it's given to me by Krishna. Then I say, okay, why is he giving it to me? Well, he's giving it to me so that I can use it back in his service. If I use it in his service, he is pleased. I've done my duty and I will be free of this cycle of birth and death. So just like the cashier will get his salary and not go to jail, same way I'll get my salary, meaning I'll go back to Godhead, and not go to jail, meaning don't come back to this material creation again. This is jail. But this mentality will not come into our mind because of our good friend, Mr. Lust. Lust says, oh, forget about all this soul. Where is the soul? Can you see the soul? You enjoy all this stuff that you see around. You enjoy it. So you have one life to live, you enjoy it. Eat, sleep, and be merry. So that is the other. But Shastra says, or everywhere, book of knowledge, if we say, no, Shastra doesn't mean anything other than book of knowledge. So in Bhagavatam also, there's very nice, there are these nice examples. Rishabdev explained to his 100 sons, and I'll read the translation, but the sir was, Nayam deho deha bhajam loke, right? That verse is very famous verse. Kashtan kamam
Kamanharate vidbhujamye tapodipim putraka yena
Yes.
yasmat brahma saukyam tanantam.
This is a very, very, very important verse, because the translation basically is that as a living, well, I'll read, or if you want to read it, Sangha Prabhu, please read.
Don't have in front, let me open it.
Okay, I can read it because I have it in front of me. So.
Okay, please read, Prabhu. I don't have it.
Or when you pull it up, then you can continue.
Okay.
So Lord Rishabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world,
The number, Prabhuji.
This is Bhagavatam 551.
You want me to read, Prabhu?
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So, an intelligent person does no. Okay. So, my dear sons, There is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool-eater hawks. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your senses will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss.
Looks to be something different you read, Prabhu.
No, it's basically the same.
Basically, the meaning I read. Okay.
Okay.
So, na ayam deho deha bhajam. It says, na ayam aham deho. I am not this body. Deha bhaj. So,
Tapo Divyam Putraka, which is that this human body is meant for tapo, tapasya. Why? Because through that, Tapo Divyam Putraka, yena sattvam shuddhaye, that the mind will become purified. And when mind becomes purified, then what happens? Yasmad Brahma Sokyam Tva Ananta. Brahma Sokyam, that is eternal happiness, spiritual happiness we can experience, Ananta, unlimited. So either you try to make yourself temporarily and slightly happy in this material world by trying to enjoy the resources, but then that has a downside because they'll trap you, you'll be caught in reaction. Or you use your body for tapo, for tapasya, to realize the Lord. And what is tapasya? Eating regulated Krishna Prasad, that is tapasya. Fasting Ekadashi, that is tapasya. Chanting rounds, that is tapasya. If we perform that tapasya, then the result will be Brahma Sokyam Tva Anandam. You know, it's been explained very nicely in Bhagavatam. There's this very nice story of, not story, in the past times, of Lord Parshuram and his father Jamadagni. And you see, this comes in Canto 9. And actually, we don't have time for the story. It's 8:50. But anyway, I'll just shorten it. So, Lord Parshuram is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he had to suffer. He had to commit certain acts for which there was reaction, and so the Bhagavatam says that even he had to undergo reaction. But to purify himself, he took bath in the holy rivers and all that kind of thing. So the point was that there is reaction for actions in this material world. But if we perform, and so for example, Prabhupada describes, for example, if you're walking down the road, if you're driving the car, you are trampling over so many living entities, insects and this and that, unknowingly also you are, and there's reaction for that. But if you engage in the recommended, so the Shastra says that that's why every human being has to perform 5 kinds of yagyas to get purified from these reactions. But in Kali Yuga, the process has been simplified even further, that if we perform Sankirtan Yagya, then that is the solution to all these sinful activities which knowingly or unknowingly we may have committed. So that's why the Lord is so kind, Mahaprabhu is so kind that, or the Lord is so kind that he appeared as Mahaprabhu to give us this simple process by which we can purify our existence, purify, nullify sinful reactions by his mercy and by his will. So the idea is that Tapo Divyam Putraka, that the human life is meant for performing these austerities in order to reach a higher planet. It's very simple. It's just like, if you don't study, how can you expect to get a good job later on in life? You know, so same way, if we don't perform these activities which are recommended in the Shastra, how can we expect to get out of the cycle of birth and death? So that's why Krishna says here, by regulating the senses. The main thing is to regulate the senses, regulating the senses. And he's also given the process by which we can do it, which is essentially hearing, chanting, worshipping the deity, reading Shastra, and associating with devotees. It's very simple and practical and doable. But we'll only do it if we realize that, yes, we are not this body. I have to do something to change this situation. I am actually a servant of God. I am a servant of Krishna. I just have to use all my resources in Krishna's service. And if I do that, my life will be successful. So it's important to just keep reminding ourselves every day, at least 1 or 2 times during the course of the day, that everything that I see around me is actually Krishna's. And it's meant to please him. This computer is meant to please him. This phone is meant to please him. This house is meant to please him. So if I can use these things in his service with that mentality, then I will hopefully be pleasing him. And so when that becomes our approach, then we are on a safe and we are on the right path. And in that, with that mentality, we'll be able to regulate our senses. And if we regulate our senses like that, then we'll be able to control this enemy, lust, and hopefully get out of this entanglement of birth and death.
Do I have a clarification here? Is that okay if I ask?
Yes, Prabhuji, I was just about to say that I'll stop here, and so please go ahead.
So everywhere Krishna has been talking about lust. Okay, lust is so dangerous. In other words also, Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. So says Kama and Krodha. They are lust, anger, and greed. Again, it says 3 gates to hell, right? So lust, he has been emphasizing on lust most of the places, and that is the destroyer of our knowledge, right?
Right.
Kama, Krodha, Loba, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Out of this, lust seems to be the topmost because he has been explaining it. So, but when you come to Srimad Bhagavatam, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Nirmatsaranam Satam. It says Nirmatsara. So non-envious. Matsara is envy. Non-envious.
Yeah.
There is emphasizing on only Bhagavatam can be heard, can be understood, can be realized by Nirmatsaranam Satam. So those who are non-envious people. So their envy is emphasized. Here lust is emphasized. So out of 6 senses, 6 misgiving
enemies. Yeah.
Enemies. So here lust is highlighted. There he says non-envious people. Only they can understand and realize Bhagavatam.
Right.
So they are Nirmatsaranam Satam. So they both are same weightage. There is not referring that Kama. He is referring to Matsara.
Okay, so that is your question, Prabhu, right? That's a very good observation.
Yeah.
But it also becomes a question, right? So then which one is the most important?
Out of 6.
Out of the 6.
Which
is it lust or is it envy?
Yes.
So if I might humbly say, it is still lust, because Matsarya, the envy, it is a product of lust. So if you think about it, why do we become envious? So Nirmatsaranam, he's saying, become non-envious. Why are we envious? We are envious because of the influence of lust.
Then he could have said Nirkamanam.
He could have said.
Yeah, why he said Nirmatsaranam?
Because what has happened is that due to the influence of lust, we have developed envy. And envy for whom? Envy for Krishna. That, oh, Krishna is enjoying this material nature. Krishna is enjoying everything. Why can't we also enjoy independently? And when that mentality comes, that's why we are sent into this material world. Because it is that lust that, oh, Krishna's enjoying it, why can't I enjoy it? And the opposite of that is when nirmatsaranam, when we are purified, when there's no envy for Krishna. How will there be no envy for Krishna? It will only come when we realize that I can enjoy also. But if I enjoy in serving Krishna, or let me say it a little different, slightly differently. Let's use an example. Father and child, right? Father is the earning member and let's say child is 5 years old, right? So the 5-year-old child doesn't have the capacity to go and earn. Father is earning and he's bringing home the food for the family to enjoy and eat. If the child says that, how is it that my father can control everything because he's earned, he's brought the money, and so now we are sitting and we are eating because he has brought the money, so he is the controller. Because of him we are eating. No, I can be the controller too. Now if the 5-year-old tries to go out and get a job, he's not going to get a job. He'll get into trouble, then he'll suffer. And this is our situation. Everything belongs to Krishna. So to use this simple example, if we say the food belongs to the father is eating and he's telling the child, oh, you also eat, the whole family is sitting and eating, everybody's enjoying. But everybody's enjoying under the protection of the father. On the other hand, if the child tries to do this independently, he'll run into trouble. So this analogy works because Krishna is the Supreme Father. Everything belongs to him, everything. We think that, oh, I earned this is mine. I can enjoy it. That's where the problem comes. And why are we thinking that I can enjoy it? Matsarya. And where is that Matsarya coming from? Lust, that I want to enjoy this. So does that make sense? Probably the two are related. It is because of lust that envy arises.
Yeah, I understood, Prabhu, but only thing, if that is the basis, the lust, he could have told Nirkamanam. So I'm not sure there why he said Nirmatsaranam.
But in other places, he's emphasizes about lust. So, I mean, even in Bhagavatam only, when before Krishna was to appear, all those 6 sons of Devaki who were killed before, they represented these 6 enemies.
But somewhere in the purport I read, I'm not sure how can I point to that purport right now, but in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada purport, I remember, or maybe I would have heard from somebody else, that the root cause of all the misgivings is envy. Okay, because we have envy, all the other follows that. So it's not the other way around. Because we have
lust,
all others follow. No, because the root cause is envy. That is why in Bhagavatam it is said Nirmatsaranam, because the base is the envy. And because of the envy, all the other 5 things will follow.
Okay, if you remember probably where it was, and if we can...
Yeah, so I'll find out, Prabhu.
Share with me, then I can get a little context to exactly where...
In Srimad Bhagavatam.
Right. But like which verse and where it was, so that way it'll give me a little opportunity to kind of dig a little further and try and get you.
I'll find out, Prabhu. I'll find out and I'll let you know. Or I'll find that lecture, either lecture or purport.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, it's a very, these are important points.
Thank you, Prabhu. A wonderful analogy, though, you said. Many analogies you gave in this session. That's really nice.
Well, I think sometimes it helps to try and break things down to our personal level, I mean, that's how Otherwise, it's hard, at least for me, to understand. I'm trying to understand through these simple analogies, you know.
So that's very much needed, Prabhu, for everyone. So, otherwise, philosophy, you know, it's like
Yeah.
goes above.
We have to be able to use it. Otherwise, it's.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, and wish you and your family the same. Very wonderful Krishna Panchas New Year.
Thank
May
you,
all
Prabhu.
your spiritual endeavors come true.
Yeah,
Please bless us, Prabhuji.
we need blessings of the devotees. Probably we all need each other's blessings and need each other's association and encouragement and reminders that we are not the body. Just use everything in Krishna's service. We keep reminding each other like that, then I think we'll all stay on track.
Yes,
Jiva Sarupaya Krishna Nityadas. So
Thank you,
just
Prabhu.
to be.
Thank you. So
Thank you, Prabhuji.
before we let everyone go today, I have a couple of announcements. So is that okay, Ramshyam Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, please go.
So today is our Bensalam group, one of the devotees, Parima Mataji. You know, you have seen her, I think. You know, she comes once in a while to our satsang, but today is our birthday.
Okay.
So we wish her a wonderful Krishna Pancha's birthday. So let's chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra for her. Okay. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
She's not on the call, but message will go. I know first.
Okay.
So other thing, Prabhu, you know, it's kind of sad news, but Arundhati Mataji, she's again our Bensalam group devotee. You know, so she had to fly to India yesterday because her father passed away. Okay, so he was I think 87 years old. He's a very pious person, and so suddenly he passed away, and he had to fly to India. So let's all chant one round for Hare Krishna mantra for the departed soul. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
may his travel be very peaceful towards Krishna. Yeah, thank you. So, and the other thing is this Sunday, and it's been a while actually, we missed this Pauganda Pravachan by kids, you know, so for a month we didn't have that, but I want to resume it again. So this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so there'll be a class again. The class will be given by my son, Tarun Krishnarangam. So we'll be speaking about glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So particularly the Gokarna story pastime, we'll be speaking about that. So please bless him and try to attend if you can, if you all can, please, at 10 a.m. Sunday. Okay, so this happens every 2 weeks, once in 2 weeks. So that's about Sunday's program. Sunday evening again, as usual, at 8 p.m. will be class given by His Grace Adhikata Prabhu about Chaitanya Bhagavad. So that's all I have, Prabhu. Thanks for your time.
And also, I think this Ekadashi is coming. Ekadashi is a very important Ekadashi, I think.
Yeah, when is that, Prabhu?
I think this is on coming Thursday. I think Thursday, Friday.
Oh, okay. Putra Ekadashi?
I mean, I don't know. Vaikunta Ekadashi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you very much for that. I'll send notification anyways as it comes closer. Thank you, Ajit. Again.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare